1983, a half-million rain-drenched people lined the streets of Washington, D.C. to welcome home a world champion. For the first time in 40 years, Washington ruled the football world, and the NFL's Coach of the Year, Joe Gibbs, gladly shared the glory with an entire city.
I don't think today could be a greater testimony to the fact that there's no other fans in the world that would come out on a day like this except in Washington, D.C. And I want you to know that each one of you has a small piece of this trophy today. Hail to the Redskins! Hail victory! Braves on the warpath! Fight for old D.C.!
As Redskin general manager, Bobby Beathard had mixed 17 draft choices with 8 trades and 28 free agents, then watched them travel all the way to Super Bowl 17. A powerful 27-17 triumph over Miami was the realization of an impossible dream, which had begun 20 weeks earlier in Philadelphia. Against the Eagles, Washington started fast on Joe Theismann's rifle right arm and the flying feet of Charlie Brown. But it was all-pro kicker Mark Mosley who tied the game at 34, then won it in overtime.
Hold is good. Kick is up long enough. It's good. Mark Mosley's toe is sent into overtime, and Mark Mosley's toe has won it in overtime. The Redskins are 1-0. The Eagles are 0-1.
In week 2, Washington got wet. A Tampa Bay monsoon made every play an adventure. Aggressive play by the Washington defense and extra effort by special teamer Curtis Jordan, who blocked a Buccaneer punt, then recovered it in the end zone, helped swamp out a second Washington win, 21-13. All season long, Redskins special teams answered the call of Coach Wayne Sevier.
Count them off, and then let's stick the leather to them. Let's go!
Return teams cleared the way for Mike Nelms, who set a Redskin career record for punt return yardage in only his 3rd season. These same men also led the entire NFC in covering both kickoffs and punts. Washington special teams were indeed special, and when the NFL strike hit, their unity helped hold the Redskins together. 8 weeks went by, but when play resumed, it was as if not one day had passed.
Hey, first hit of the game, first hit of the new season. Kick some ass.
The Redskins returned to ransack the New York Giants. The Washington defense was as ornery as ever, while Theismann and Brown were still timed to perfection. Charlie Brown scored his third touchdown in as many games, then turned matters over to the offensive line. George Stark, Jeff Bostic, Mark May, Joe Jacoby, Fred Dean, and Russ Grimm blasted holes for running backs Clarence Harmon and John Riggins. This hard rock running game helped pound out a 27-17 win over the Giants. The offensive line had come on strong thanks to the weight training program provided by strength coach Dan Riley and a nickname given to them by their line coach, Joe Bugle. Bugle simply called them the Hogs.
It just happened one day at practice at summer camp. I said, okay, you Hogs, let's get down to the bullpen down there. And the guys kind of chuckled about it because I use it as more or less an affectionate term. All of a sudden, this bunch really started hanging together. They become closer and closer and closer. They played hard together, and it's really mushroomed.
Suddenly, Washington was investing in hog futures. These huge porkers weren't graceful or pretty, but they sure loved their work. And so it was that the capital of the free world became hog heaven, and only one outsider was allowed to join the exclusive fraternity, a groundhog named John Riggins. Behind his vintage swine, Riggins added another analogy. He was also known as the Diesel.
Look out, killer. Here comes the Diesel. Yes, sir. Here he comes on 395.
While Riggins ran over an opponent, scatback Joe Washington improvised his way as the Washington Redskins went hog wild, even quarterback Joe Theismann. Theismann's block won him the Hog's love and the title Honorary Piglet. But Joe's specialty was not blocking. It was dashing. The dash play looked like a straight drop back, then sent number 7 sprinting out behind his pulling Hogs. This controlled scramble took advantage of Theismann's mobility and gave him extra time to find the open man. Joe dashed all season, completing 64% of his passes to receivers of all shapes and sizes. A powerful tight end like Don Warren, or a sleek and graceful wide receiver named Art Monk, who was tall enough to play over a cornerback's head. Also available were tiny receivers who could run under a defender's armpits. Number 89 was 5'7", Alvin Garrett, while his larger friend, Virgil C., towered 5'8". Joe Theismann had a nickname ready.
Alvin, where's Virgil? Hey, Smurf, Virgil! You know, it's amazing. Virgil's the smallest guy in the ball club. He's the only guy sitting down watching the game on the ground.
Soon, Washington wanted to know, what's a Smurf?
Smurf 1 and Smurf 2 back into the game. What's that mean? Smurf? Now, haven't you seen the little blue-faced dolls the kids have? No. Smurfs, you haven't seen them on television, Sam? You got to get up on Saturday morning and watch TV. You see them Smurfs all the time.
The Smurfs were protected by the Hogs, coached by all-time great Redskin receiver Charlie Taylor, and befriended by a sort of super Smurf, 5' 10" Charlie Brown, who played much taller. After a year on injured reserve, Brown took a flying leap at NFL starter. Charlie Brown had defenders crying, "Good grief," as he scored 10 touchdowns in 13 games, made the Pro Bowl and averaged over 20 yards per spectacular catch.
Hand to Riggins, end around to Monk, pitch back to Theismann, lets it go deep. He's got Charlie Brown down there, well covered. He makes the catch at the 5 and dives to the 2. Charlie Brown, what an incredible catch. Whoa, what a play.
Against Philadelphia, Brown led Washington on a victory march, and the Redskins dashed to their 4th straight win. Brown was averaging a touchdown per game as offensive assistants Don Breaux, Warren Simmons, and Dan Henning congratulated the NFL's only undefeated coach, Joe Gibbs. In the bizarre beginning of 1982, the undefeated Redskins were threatening to run away and hide from the rest of the NFL. Cynics said the Redskins were nothing but a joke and waited for them to self-destruct. In December, the Dallas Cowboys came to town and tripped up the Redskins. In a 24-10 defeat, Theismann was sacked 7 times as the confident Cowboys had the last laugh. The doomsayers predicted the end of Washington's title hopes, but Dave Butts was determined not to let them die. The next week in St. Louis, Butts and the blue-collar boys of the Washington defense rolled up their sleeves and went to work. The defense held St. Louis to a touchdown, and Mark Mosley hammered out 4 field goals for a 12-7 Washington win. 1 week later, in the snows of RFK, the defense held New York to 139. With time almost gone, Washington trailed 14-12, leaving Mosley one chance to make history.
A 42-yard attempt, plenty long enough. It's good! Mark Mosley has broken the National Football League record.
Mosley's record 23rd consecutive field goal provided a heart-stopping 15-14 win over the Giants, and Washington fans knew a championship defense was shaping up. Barging up the middle was Dave Butts. Covering the outside was cat-quick Dexter Manley, number 72. Closing down from the other end was number 76, Matt Mendenhall. Sharing time were Perry Brooks and number 77, Darrell Grant, with pass rushing specialist Tony McGee. Defensive coaches Richie Pettibone, Torgy Torgerson, Larry Peccatello, and Bill Hickman preached pursuit and gang tackling. Especially active were the linebackers, Mel Kaufman, Neil Olkowitz, and Rich Millott, supported by backups Monty Coleman and Larry Cuban. This unsung Washington defense gave up the fewest points in the NFL, thanks to hitters like strong safety Tony Peters. Rookie Vernon Dean stepped in at cornerback and made all the big plays, while nickelback Joe Lavender provided veteran stability. Cornerback Jarris White played in his 129th consecutive NFL game and led Washington with 5 interceptions, while the team's leading tackler for the 4th straight season was free safety Mark Murphy. The blue-collar boys were working their way to the playoffs. They demolished the New Orleans Saints 27-10, then constructed the first Redskins shutout in 2 years against St. Louis. Washington worked the Cardinals over 28-0, and Joe Theismann threw his 12th and 13th touchdown passes of the season, including one to tight end Rick Walker. Walker and the Redskins had been working on high fives all year, and while some of the youngsters had trouble picking it up, everyone finally got their act together, and the Fun Bunch was born. The Fun Bunch celebrated an 8-1 record, the best in the NFL. And chairman of the board, Jack Kent Cooke, spoke for the entire city.
I am in a state of ecstasy. Never mind that nonsense about euphoria and so on. It is sheer, unadulterated, uncompromising ecstasy.
The Redskins were ready. Just ahead lay the NFL playoffs. Washington opened the playoffs at home against Detroit with some ominous signs on the horizon. Art Monk was out with a stress fracture, and workhorse John Riggins had missed the final regular season game with a bruised thigh. But Joe Gibbs knew his defense was peaking at just the right time.
The Lions driving towards the end zone to our right. 3 wide receivers. To the near side is Porter. Flanked out to the far side. Leonard Thompson and David Hill. Back to pass is Hipple. Rushes on. Gets it off near side. Picked off. Picked off by Jarris White. He's gone. He's going 70 yards. Touchdown, Washington Redskins.
Jarris White's touchdown got Washington started in the right direction, and Art Monk's Smurfish replacement looked 10 feet tall. Alvin Garrett had only 1 reception during the regular season. In the playoffs, he would catch 15 passes for 5 touchdowns, including 3 against Detroit. Only Smurf-like kindness spared the Lions further embarrassment. Riggins hunkered down behind his fellow Hogs and began an incredible journey behind a crushing lead block thrown by Otis Walmsley. The Diesel was off on the longest haul in the history of the NFL playoffs. Riggins rushed for 610 yards in 4 playoff games, beginning with 119 against the Lions in a crushing 31-7 Washington victory. But Russ Grimm and the Hogs were still getting no respect.
See who wins. Today we won. They said that they're going to come in here, you know, they're the Butchers and we're the Hogs. The thing they forgot is before a hog goes to the butcher, somebody got to kill it, and nobody even come close today.
The Minnesota Vikings came no closer the next week. The Vikings spent all day looking for a place to hang on to this runaway truck. Then Riggins and the Redskins crossed them up. Theismann completed 68% of his playoff passes for 8 touchdowns. With the Redskins leading 21-7, Riggins simply ran out the clock.
Riggins gets the carry, coming near side, cuts back against the grain to the 30, to the 35, breaks it loose to the 40. He's to midfield, down to the 45 of the Vikings. Big run, John Riggins.
John Riggins had carried 37 times for 185 yards. But already Redskin fans were looking ahead to a Dallas rematch. The NFC title was at stake, but even more was on the line. Washington's Warriors were duty-bound to avenge their only loss.
Blitz is on, check. Fumble the football. It's down at the 40-yard line. Danny White looks like he's knocked out. Oh, he is out. Chant still goes. I tell you, that's got to be intimidating. 50,000 people screaming, "We want Dallas." Play action fake to Dorsett. Hit the ball well. Set up a screen, batted in the air, picked off by Darryl Grant. Touchdown, Washington Redskins! I don't believe it. Unbelievable. Dexter Manley tipped the pass. Darryl Grant got the interception, and now the stadium shakes. Oh, they're going crazy at RFK. Look at this. Look at
this. Washington defeated Dallas 31-17 for one of the most glorious victories in the Redskins' 42-year history. This assortment of Smurfs, Hogs, Fun Bunchers, and blue-collar boys had proved their critics wrong and united to form a true team, the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. Hail to Joe Gibbs and the Washington Redskins, champions of the world for 1982. The greatest sporting event in the world. To earn the right to participate just once is a glorious achievement. Last season, the Washington Redskins became the first team since the '79 Steelers to play in 2 consecutive NFL championship games. Such an accomplishment truly indicates an uncommon level of superiority. Throughout the regular season and the playoffs, the Redskins had trampled everything in their path. But on this Super Bowl Sunday, Washington's march through the NFL came to a halt. The Los Angeles Raiders victimized the Redskins, just as the Redskins had victimized the rest of the National Football League. A disheartening 38-9 loss ended one of the finest seasons in league history, a season in which the Redskins performed extraordinary feats that ordinary teams can only dream of. The 1983 season saw Washington march to the tunes of glory. Every team wanted to defeat them, but the Redskins survived the NFL gauntlet. They finished with a 14-2 record, pro football's best, and scored the most points in NFL history. While the rest of the National Football League was striving for parity, this team proved once again that they are a cut above. Defending world champion Redskins' reign was tested early, for Washington's opener was against the Cowboys.
We've got to see if we can get back to the same emotional level that we had last year in the playoffs, and our fans and everybody there in our stadium, and see if we can get ready for this one. It is going to be a big game, but it's going to be 1 of 16, and it's not going to be any more important than coming back and winning the next week. But obviously, it's going to be an exciting way to start the year on Monday Night TV.
Anxious to legitimize their Super Bowl season, the Redskins came out swinging. The defense held the Cowboys to just 3 first-half points, while the offense scored 23. But just as it seemed the Redskins had proved they were king of the hill, the Cowboys sent them tumbling down. Dallas's 28 second-half points beat Washington 31-30.
Oh, no, no!
The fear of complacency suddenly hovered over the Super Bowl champions. It was a team with something special. They were a group of characters with character, and their unique chemistry created a bond that was almost magical. Dallas proved to be only a temporary detour as Washington quickly got back into the fast lane with consecutive wins over the Eagles, Chiefs, and Seahawks. With a 3-1 record after 4 weeks, the Redskins' engines were revved up when they roared back into RFK Stadium to meet the Raiders. Three first-quarter interceptions by the secondary, and a Joe Theismann touchdown pass to Joe Washington gave the Redskins a 17-7 first-half lead. But it was the Raiders who went on the warpath in the second half. Four Los Angeles touchdowns backed Washington into a corner. But in the final period, Theismann and the Redskins began clawing their way out. Charlie Brown's touchdown brought Washington within 8. But needing 2 scores to win, the Redskins had to have the ball back.
Okay, we're going to hit it deep left. Now, if they have their onside receiving team in there, then he's going to hit a low liner still deep, but one that bounces, and if we get lucky down there, we may be able to fall on it. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Recovery led to a field goal, leaving Washington only a touchdown away from victory.
Redskins better hurry up out of that huddle. Here we go. Theismann sent Brown to the far side. Theismann rolls out, looks, fires it up the middle. Charlie Brown, he's got it at the 6. And pull down. Hurry up offense. Here come the Redskins to the line of scrimmage, the 6-yard line. They've got to have a touchdown. They trail by 5. From the 6-yard line, Theismann with a straight drop. Looking into the end zone, throws it over the middle. Washington, touchdown! Joe Washington!
In one of the most exciting games of the season, Washington had scored 3 times in the final 6 minutes to earn a 37-35 victory.
The 2002 ESPY Awards go to Hollywood.
Special teams' key role in the win over Los Angeles was a testament to the Redskins' overall team strength. Special team captains Otis Wansley and Peter Cronin and punt returner Mike Nelms excelled on a unit that thrived on second effort, reckless daring, and so much more.
There are a lot of little things that happen out there that are undetected by the average fan. Usually there's a scheme that each team has, and it's not just hit the closest guy.
10-man middle switch, but be ready for spy if they get some. Spy! Spy! 10-man spy! Pooch alert! Hey, pooch alert!
The strategy sounds foreign, but it's easily translated.
This is going to be the throwback to Darryl.
The special teams were not the only Redskins unit to thrive on dirty work.
I love them hogs. I love them hogs. I love them hogs. Yeah, I love them hogs. Sing it loud, sing it clear, all the way another year. Everybody come and sing a cheer.
With their noses to the dirt, Jacoby, Grimm, Bostic, May, and Stark comprise the NFL's best offensive line and gave Theismann ample time to pass and fullback John Riggins plenty of room to run. Riggins has been named an honorary groundhog, but number 44 is more akin to a bull, and in 1983, the NFL was his personal china shop. Riggins' straightforward, no-nonsense running style is also a reflection of his unique personality.
I've never been a, what do you call him, rah-rah type of guy and a cheerleader type of fella. For me, it's business. I have a job to do, and I go out and do it the best I can. And when I'm not on the football field, I'm over on the bench almost 90% of the time down by the oxygen tanks.
In his 12th season, the Diesel still provided a breath of fresh air for the Redskin offense. The NFL's 5th all-time leading rusher scored a record 24 touchdowns in '83, but the big fullback does not want to be remembered for his statistics.
Actually, if they were going to remember me by anything, I would like them to think that I always came to play on Sunday. I might do some goofy things during the week, but when Sunday rolls around and the ref blows a whistle, you can bet that I'll be playing.
John Riggins epitomized the dominating power of the Redskins, for he, too, was a cut above. The season's halfway mark, the Redskins found the waters on the West Coast a little rough as they cast off in a game against San Diego. Joe Theismann rocked the boat early with the touchdown pass to wide receiver Virgil C., while punter Jeff Hayes hoisted anchor and set sail for the Charger end zone. Hayes' voyage set up the first of 2 Riggins touchdowns. Unfortunately for Washington, the Chargers kept the game close. But with less than 2 minutes left, Theismann was squarely at the helm when the Redskins began their drive for the winning score. Theismann completed 5 of 7 passes to move Washington into field goal range with only seconds to go.
From 37 yards out, Theismann set, snap, hold, kick is up long enough. Is it good? It is good. It's good. That will do it right there.
While some quarterbacks simply endure pressure, Joe Theismann consistently rises above it.
1 minute left in the game, and it's 3rd and 10, and everybody knows it's passed, and defensive ends turn into werewolves. You either rise to that and can handle that, or you can't, and you should be in another business. Some quarterbacks can't handle that kind of pressure. Joe can, which is what makes him probably the best right now.
Theismann's flair for the dramatic has earned him the nickname Hollywood, and number 7 is one star who doesn't require a stand-in. Joe's tough hide and strong arm led the Redskins to an NFL record 541 points. While backs Nick Giaquinto and Joe Washington and receivers Don Warren, Rick Walker, Alvin Garrett, Art Monk, and Charlie Brown all relished Theismann's arm, the Hogs appreciated his other physical skills.
Well, in the old days when you had a quarterback like, say, Sonny Jurgensen, who would just drop back 5 yards, you know he wasn't going anywhere. The defense could key on that area of the field and attack it. When you have a mobile quarterback like Joe, and with mobile pocket concepts, it takes the pressure off you from that standpoint, and it puts the pressure on defense because they don't know where you're going to go. So they have to cover the whole field just on the odd chance that you might roll out. But there's another dimension to the game, but also just more exciting. The game is more fun. And the idea of this business is to have some fun.
The Redskins had fun in 1983. They were a loose team, unified by contrasting identities. And nowhere was this more evident than on defense. Darrell Green, number 28, and Mark Murphy, number 29, were an odd couple who found success in the Redskins secondary. Green was a number 1 draft pick whose blinding speed helped him cover the entire field and earn a spot on the all-rookie team. While Green's quickness got him where he wanted to go, Murphy's 7 years of experience already had him there. A Pro Bowler, Murphy led the NFL with 9 interceptions. Constantly under bombardment, Washington's secondary nicknamed itself the Pearl Harbor Crew. However, Murphy and Green, with the help of Anthony Washington, Ken Coffey, Vernon Dean, Curtis Jordan, Greg Williams, and Brian Carpenter, braved the attack and intercepted a league-high 34 passes. Dave Butts and Dexter Manley had such contrasting styles that they made TV's odd couple, Felix and Oscar, seem like identical twins. Dexter is flamboyant and outspoken.
Tough times never last, but tough people do. That's one of my favorite books that I'm always reading.
Dave is quiet and composed.
I'm a little bit older, a little bit more reserved. It's hard to find anything that we both think and do the same way. The only thing that we do is play on the same team.
They are like oil and water, but defensively, they blend together to wreak havoc upon opposing offenses. Their pressure was so intense that if one didn't get his man, the other one would. Dexter and Dave combined for over 24 sacks. And when they didn't get the passer, number 78, Tony McGee, did. Defensive pressure created opportunities that helped spur the Redskins' late-season push to the playoffs. Linebackers number 55, Mel Kaufman, Rich Malott, and number 52, Neil Okowitz, came up with big plays and wins over Atlanta and St. Louis. The stretch drive was also where Riggins was at his best. Rushing for 7 touchdowns against the Giants, Eagles, and Rams, Riggo helped boost the Redskins' record to 12-2 and set up a crucial Week 15 contest against the Cowboys. It was sundown in Texas Stadium, and there was room for only one team at the top of the NFC East. Washington patiently waited for the Cowboys to make the first move. And when they did, the Redskin defense cut down Dallas where they stood. Washington's league-leading rushing defense limited Dallas to only 33 yards. Doomsday had arrived, all right, for the Cowboys.
Heisman's going to pass. He's going to dash out here. Going deep. He's got eyes mark. At the 5. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. The Cowboys all looking down there, picking at artificial grass. He wasn't my man. No, no.
The convincing 31-10 win propelled the Redskins into first place and into the playoffs. For visiting playoff teams, RFK Stadium has become a burial ground. And in last season's opening round, it was a resurrected Ram team that was promptly put to rest.
Ferragamo fires it out on the far side to Dickerson. Picked off. He's gone. It's 28 Darrell Green. into the end zone.
Everybody else was running full speed, and Darrell was just trotting.
Vince Ferragamo was giving chase. That was really funny.
That's not if you're Ferragamo. That's not so funny.
Washington was so overwhelmed that not even a presidential pardon could have saved the Rams on this day.
Back to Theismann. Fires it near side. Bump right open at the 10. Bye-bye. Touchdown, Washington Redskins.
The Redskins crushed Los Angeles 51-7. But still there were those unimpressed with Washington's show of strength.
I just don't believe that we will be in awe or terribly nervous about this. I think our players are eagerly looking forward to just finding out how good the Redskins are.
Washington quickly showed the 49ers just how good they were. Riggins ran for his 6th straight 100-yard game in postseason play and scored 2 touchdowns. Washington's Power You One play, razzle-dazzle you the next offense, had 49er heads spinning. The defense became so unnerved, a simple play fake to number 44 gave Theismann all day in the pocket. A 70-yard Theismann to Charlie Brown touchdown gave Washington a 21-0 lead, and the Redskins appeared unbeatable. However, in the second half, the Redskins let their guard down, allowing the 49ers to sneak in some crucial blows. With 3 final quarter scores, the 49ers had unpacked a game the Redskins seemingly had in the bag. But true to the character of this Redskin team, they stubbornly set out to obtain a victory they had already laid claim to. Washington's final drive wasn't pretty, but it got them where they needed to go.
Field goal. Field goal. Field goal.
Redskins won their 2nd consecutive NFC championship with a heart-pounding flair that typified their wondrous season. The pressure of a Super Bowl title had not unraveled this team as it had others before them. For the Redskins clung together in 1983 and not only survived a difficult challenge, they conquered. By maintaining their lofty status at the summit of pro football, the 1983 Washington Redskins were truly a cut above.
Classic Rocky Mountain.
Redskin program here. Program here, Redskin programs. Program, Redskin program here. Program here, Redskin programs. Programs here. Program, Redskin program here.
In 1984, the Washington Redskins once again fought their way to a division title. So too did the intimidating Chicago Bears. And when these NFL heavyweights squared off in the playoffs, they exchanged punishing blows like a couple of tireless bare-knuckle brawlers. even though Chicago took an early lead in this knock-'em-down, drag-'em-out affair. The tenacious Redskins kept on swinging. Trailing as they entered the final quarter, the Redskins' defense shut down Chicago. Unfortunately for Washington, the offense was unable to make up the difference, and the Redskins' season ended in frustrating and unfamiliar fashion. Washington had never lost a playoff game at home, and for the first time in 3 years, the Redskins would not play in the Super Bowl. Winning a third straight division championship was a great achievement, but it was an accomplishment that fell short of the Washington Redskins' lofty expectations. Typically, head coach Joe Gibbs had everything firmly in place when the Redskins raised their jupes for the 1984 opener at home against the Miami Dolphins. Quarterback Joe Theismann was back at work directing traffic, while the offensive line was once again busy paving new roads for John Riggins' journey up the NFL's all-time leading rusher list. With the diesel in overdrive, the Redskins anticipated a smooth ride through the season's early weeks. But on this day, the Dolphins' mode of transportation into the end zone proved to be more effective. A 35-17 loss started the new season on a sour note that was still ringing in Washington's ear the following week. The setting was ideal for the Redskins to turn themselves into winners, and as the game wore on, the transformation began to take place. After trailing 27-0, Washington battled back to within 6 points. But the 49ers stalled Washington's comeback efforts. And suddenly, a team that had come to take winning for granted was winless after 2 games.
I think at one time we were starting to believe we were invincible, and we're not that kind of football team. If all 22 guys aren't playing to their maximum, and even a little bit better than that, then we could become a very average football team. We have tough people that have to do a great job playing together for us to be successful.
The Redskins had allowed over 70 points in their first 2 games. However, in Week 3 against the Giants, Washington firmed up its defense. The Redskins' defensive wall stood strong in consecutive wins over the Giants, Patriots, Eagles, and Colts. The defense gave up only 4 touchdowns during that stretch, and by the time Dallas rode into town in Week 7, the Redskins were anxious to deliver a little frontier justice to the Cowboys. Most Redskin-Cowboy games are as tight as a noose, but in this contest, Washington hung the Cowboys out to dry.
Second down and long. Hogaboom to pass. Out on the left side. Picked off. It's gone. Monty Coleman. He's gone for a touchdown. Coleman to the 10. The 5. Touchdown. Washington Redskins. There's the snap. Theismann. Little dash pattern out here to the right. First one of those we've seen today. Going deep. Got Muhammad. Wide open. Caught it to 25. He's gone. Touchdown. Washington Redskins.
Washington handed Dallas one of its worst defeats of the season, 34-14, and the Redskins' 5th straight win placed them all alone atop the NFC East. After 7 weeks of the season, Washington's successful fight for first was largely due to the aggressive Redskin defense. Anchoring this unit was middle linebacker Neil Olkowitz, number 52. Olkowitz led the team in tackles and received support from Larry Kubin, Mel Kaufman, number 55, and Rich Malott, number 57. While Malott's 4 sacks gave the Redskins' pass rush a lift, number 51 Monty Coleman's 10.5 knockdowns helped send it into orbit. In 1984, Washington established a new team record with 66 sacks, and setting the pace with 13.5 was defensive end Dexter Manley. Despite his man-size accomplishments, Dexter plays football with a refreshing youthfulness. And like a kid on a playground, he often says the darndest things.
Sometimes I say things that will offend the opponents, and I don't think that's too good. So I think the best thing for me to do until I get more knowledgeable and wise is to be quiet and just let my action do the talking.
Last season, Manley's actions left most of his opponents speechless, as number 72 led the 3rd best sack pack in NFL history. Also contributing to Washington's sack total were Tony McGee, Perry Brooks, Tom Beasley, and number 71, Charles Mann. Mann recorded 7.5 sacks, as did Darrell Grant, number 77, who many thought was the Redskins' most valuable defensive player. Washington's successful pass rush was made possible by the NFL's second stingiest run defense, built around a rock of a man, tackle Dave Butts. Playing a position that requires holding your ground, Butts was the NFL's most immovable object. At 6'7", 295, Butts doesn't tackle ball carriers. He engulfs them. While Washington's defensive backs may not match the big tackle's physical stature, in terms of toughness, they measure up inch for inch. Taking advantage of every opportunity to seek out the football, this crew was led by Curtis Jordan, number 22, the team's 2nd leading tackler. Opportunistic as well as rugged, Jordan, Ken Coffey, Anthony Washington, Ricky Smith, Greg Williams, and Pro Bowl starter Darrell Green, number 28, all contributed to the team's 43 takeaways, 2nd best in the NFC. With Mark Murphy, 1983's leading interceptor, injured for much of the season, number 32, Vernon Dean, stepped forward and intercepted a team-high 7 passes. Dean returned 2 of his thefts for touchdowns, and his efforts typified the big defensive counter-punches that struck crucial blows in the Redskins' drive to remain champions. 84, Pro Bowlers Joe Jacoby and Russ Grimm, along with Bostic, May, Stark, Donnelly, and Huff, once again successfully parted the seas of defenders for running backs John Riggins, Joe Washington, Otis Wansley, number 39, and rookie Keith Griffin, number 35. Griffin replaced the injured Washington and finished as the team's 2nd leading rusher. Thanks to the offensive line, the Redskins' ground game made great strides. However, no one benefited more from the blocking up front than quarterback Joe Theismann. Washington outscored every NFL team but Miami and San Francisco, and the hustling signal caller placed tops among NFL quarterbacks with 314 yards rushing. Theismann also set career club records for passing yards, attempts, and completions with the help of receivers Don Warren, Rick Walker, Clint Didier and Charlie Brown, number 87. The two-time Pro Bowler Brown was lost for much of the season. However, the Redskins general manager Bobby Beathard acquired another gem in Calvin Muhammad, number 89. Muhammad's 42 catches for over 700 yards were second only to last season's premier wide receiver, Art Monk, number 81. Nicknamed Money for his ability to make the clutch catch, Monk cashed in on all his skills in 1984 as he gained 1,372 yards and caught an NFL record 106 passes.
Third down and 5, a long 5. Back is Theismann, straight drop, steps up, fires it down the far side. He's got it complete to Monk. There's the record at the 30. He's down to the 20, inside the 20, and out of bounds at the 17. Art Monk has just broken the National Football League record for receptions in a single season. The crowd is on its feet.
They should be. What a great record to break, and a well-deserved honor for Art Monk.
They're going to give him the ball. Jerry Markbright just called timeout. And he's personally going to hand him the ball. He shook his hand, and he says, congratulations, Art. Art's is going to bring it to the sideline now. His players are all going out to greet him. That's a great tribute right there for him.
While Monk sat on the throne of the Redskins' kingdom last year, Rigonomics remained the leading subject. After years as the Redskins' workhorse back, John Riggins may need a little more rest these days. But when it comes time to pull the wagon, he's always ready to hitch it up.
In terms of toughness and running the football, especially the power-type football we play, there's a certain amount of respect that takes place between John, for example, and the offensive line. John is a tough man.
Riggins' fifth 1,000-yard season put him over the 10,000-yard milestone, and he now ranks fifth among pro football's all-time leading rushers and holds 17 club records. The Diesel scored 14 touchdowns last season, proving at 35 he still has a nose for the end zone. It just takes a little more effort to get there.
John's an amazing guy, a gifted guy from a body standpoint. Got a great body, highly motivated. There's no reason for him to be wanting to come back. He's done about everything he can do, yet he's got a real drive, and we'll see how long he can go.
Considering the average career of an NFL back is 5 years, Riggins' 13 seasons are a truly unique achievement, perfectly befitting a truly unique football player. Dallas is not the place to bring aspirations of a division championship, but tied with the Cowboys and Giants at 9 and 5 and needing 2 wins for the division title, Washington had very little choice. From the outset, Washington's title and playoff hopes were in jeopardy as Dallas jumped to an early lead.
Danny White with a little bootleg to the right, tight end, touchdown pass. Dallas Cowboys. When you're hot, you're hot. Right now, the Cowboys they're steaming, aren't they?
Trailing 21-6, it was time to create a real TV drama in Dallas. In the second half, Cowboy quarterback Danny White was intent on picking up where he left off. But the Redskin defense had other ideas.
Danny White is in the shotgun formation. Redskins coming with a blitz after him. Throws it near side, picked off. Darrell Green's got it. The 25, 20. Bye-bye. Defense, touchdown, Washington Redskins. There's a big play. Whoa, there's a big play for Darrell Green. That's what they getting burned. That's what they needed. Oh, that puts the Redskins right back in the game, doesn't it? Boy, it does.
Seconds later, Theismann pulled the Redskins to within a point. And with the Cowboys staggering, the defense reared back and went for the knockout. Dallas was held to a single touchdown in the second half. And midway through the final quarter, Riggins scored the game winner.
Theismann takes the snap. Riggins up over the middle, hit at the line of scrimmage. He made it. Touchdown, Washington Redskins.
Washington's 30-28 win signified the first season sweep over the Cowboys in team history. The Redskins had beaten one top contender. The next bout would be for the title. The winner would become the Eastern Division champion and play host to a first-round playoff game. Very rarely does one regular season game ever mean so much. The Redskins defense took control from the start, holding the Cardinals to just 7 first-half points, while creating scoring opportunities for Joe Gibbs' scheming offense to capitalize on.
But what we got to be alert for are blitzes from out here, so we got to be alert for our breakoffs, all of our reads.
I'm still on him, but he's getting an arm on you. You know, you're getting 4 or 5 yards, but he's really closing it hard.
While the chilling pressure of December can cause even the finest teams to stiffen, Washington remained tempered by a warming air of confidence. Riggins' second quarter touchdown run helped give the Redskins a commanding 23-7 halftime advantage. But befitting a winner-take-all match, there would be no early knockouts. Both teams were prepared to go the full 15 rounds. With time running out, Washington needed a field goal to recapture the lead.
27-yard line is the spot. Good snap, good hold, kick is up. It's long enough. It's good! With 1 minute, 33 seconds left to go in the game, Mark Mosley has given the Redskins the lead back.
Washington led 29-27. But in this season where the Redskins had to fight for everything they had earned, their title hopes would remain in the air until the final bell.
Cardinals are out of timeouts.
They got to kick the field goal.
They're going to try the field goal. It'll be a 50-yard kick.
They're not going to get it off.
Yard line. 6 seconds. 5, 4. Here's the snap. A little low. O'Donoghue gets the kick away. It's on the air. Oh! The Redskins win the NFC Eastern Division title.
The Redskins' third straight division title could very well have been their most satisfying, simply because they had fought so hard to attain it. The arms of the Washington Redskins should be raised high, because they, and they alone, captured a division which was full of top-notch contenders. No burgundy and gold fans will forget those 2 thrilling victories over Dallas and St. Louis, which made the 1984 Redskins winners and still champions.
When you think back to the 1982 football season, the images that come to mind are not of electrifying plays and frenzied fans, but unfortunately, picket lines and empty stadiums. 7 regular season games were wiped out as a result of the first in-season player strike in NFL history. With only 9 games played, the league presented a new playoff format. teams qualified on the basis of conference rather than divisional standings. The normal 10-team field was expanded to 16, and the playoffs became a 4-game single elimination tournament. It seemed like one big mess, and you could only hope someone or something would emerge from this confusion to make the game interesting again. Enter the Washington Redskins, who survived the NFC tournament on the strength of the Hogs, the Smurfs, the Fun Bunch, and Riggo. The Redskins had definitely brought fun back to a not-so-fun season. Washington and its traveling circus would meet the Miami Dolphins in Super Bowl 17 at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. And I remember how Redskins fullback John Riggins had refused to do the standard pregame interviews, but agreed to get them over in one mass shot. So the NFL put Riggins in his own ballroom, which was packed with more press than the president gets. And Riggins proceeded to do a half an hour of stand-up comedy. And I guess a new precedent had been set. Ordinary players are interviewed at tables. Stars get tables on little stages, but really big guys get ballrooms. But Riggins deserved it. His performance in Super Bowl 17 would not only help save the Redskins, but the season as well.
Defense, let's play the great defense the whole day long. Special teams right from the beginning. We busted our we worked hard for anybody to get here. Nobody can beat us in a team, and it's worth $70,000 and a big ring.
Cephalo to the near side. Woodley up under quarterback, fakes the pass. Coming to the near side. He's got Cephalo wide open. Big gainer. He's got a man beat to the 40, to the 30. He could be gone. It's a horse race. It's a Miami touchdown. 76-yard touchdown pass thrown by David Woodley, and they did something weird there that caught the defense with their pants down.
24-year-old David Woodley was the youngest quarterback ever to start a Super Bowl, but he began like a seasoned veteran. His pass to Jimmy Cephalo was the second longest scoring play in Super Bowl history, and the Miami Dolphins gained a 7-0 lead over the Washington Redskins early in the first period.
From the country that brought you giant fire-breathing monsters comes something even more terrifying. Chris Farley is...
Goodbye, everyone!
The Beverly Hills Ninja.
Everybody was...
I am a trained master in each of the weapons of battle.
That was dope!
Beverly Hills Ninja. Rated PG-13. Opens everywhere Friday.
We like Neil Smith mean, so we get his mother-in-law to call him collect before each game without using 1-800-COLLECT. Could have saved you some serious cash, Neil. 1-800-COLLECT. Save the people you call up to 44%.
This is the future of workout. New Endurox, the natural workout supplement. Proven to build endurance, metabolize up to 43% more fat calories, even reduce muscle fatigue. Whatever your workout, make it count with new Endurox.
Angered by the Dolphins' easy touchdown, the Redskins' hard-charging defensive line helped recover what their secondary had given away. A jarring tackle by Dexter Manley caused Woodley to fumble, and Dave Butts recovered for Washington at the Miami 46. After the Redskins' defensive line caused the first turnover of Super Bowl 17, their offensive line, nicknamed the Hogs by line coach Joe Bugle, began to control the tempo of the game with a play called 50 Gut.
40 and 50 gut is John Riggins running off tackle. Running off tackle where he gets the football, he glides to the offensive tackle, and he makes his breaks from there. This is really our bread and butter, and we were having some success running to our left side, their right side, because we felt we had the great matchups. We feel, as far as physical football, we felt Bo Camper was a 250-pounder who's a great pass rusher. But Joe Jacoby going into the Super Bowl weighed 300 pounds. So we felt in order to beat Miami, we would have to win this matchup. And Joe Jacoby was going to have to hammer and pound Kim Bo Camper.
Joe Jacoby and Russ Grimm, the two Hogs that time with the big blocks. Oh, John Riggins, the diesel getting warm.
Crank up that diesel. Let's go, diesel.
Along with the guts came the first hint of glory as Big John Riggins chugged into field goal range. Mosley's 31-yard field goal made the score 7-3. But this scoring drive was just a prelude to the more intricate web of strategy to be woven in the second quarter.
Just what does it take to...
Hi, I'm Joe Lutz, general manager at Fremont.
Going into the Miami game, the guy that created the most problems was A.J. Dewey. Throughout the whole season and the two playoff games that we saw prior to going to the Super Bowl, he had a lot of sacks because he lined up in various positions. He lined up as an inside linebacker, as a defensive tackle, and as an outside linebacker. This is where he was most effective, rushing from the outside. So one of the prime things that we felt we had to do as an offense is try to get in formations that would stabilize him and force him to be an inside linebacker all the time. For us to win the Super Bowl, we had to come up with the type of formations that would stabilize their defense, where they could not afford to move A.J. Dewey. That was the key.
By constantly shifting their offensive formations, Washington kept A.J. Dewey off balance, forcing him to remain an inside linebacker, where he was further confused by the Redskins' play selection. Washington ran reverses, flea flickers, and counterplays, leading Dewey on a furious but often futile chase. With Dewey neutralized, Miami's killer bees had lost their sting. late in the second period, after a Miami field goal had made the score 10-3. Washington drove 80 yards through the befuddled Bees to a touchdown. Joe Theismann personally accounted for 62 of those yards, expertly mixing his passes and scrambles with a dependable 50 gut.
Near left slot, 50 gut on red. Ready? I don't think they've worked against a lot of movement. I just don't believe they could have, because every time you move, they're really not sure what's going on back there.
At the 4-yard line, all 5 receivers went in motion, causing split-second confusion in the Dolphins' secondary.
Lob into the end zone. Garrett's there. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. He got it. Redskins are going to tie this football game.
Well, the Killer Bees have been stung. They are.
In 1982, Bill Arnsparger's defense was the best in the NFL. But in Super Bowl 17, they looked just plain ordinary against Joe Gibbs' cleverly designed offense.
One minute, 51 seconds left to go in the first half of Super Bowl 17, and our score is Miami 10, Washington 10. Here's Hayes' kickoff. Waiting back deep, Fulton Walker. He's got it at the 2, out to the 5, to the 10, comes to the near side to the 20. He's out to the 25, turns it back. He's gone. 50-yard line, 40-yard line. He's gone. It's a touchdown. A 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown for the Miami Dolphins. And as soon as the Redskins tie it, the Dolphins come back on top.
When it looked like the Redskins would go into the dressing room, tied up at halftime, coming from behind, to have this happen to you in the last 2 minutes is devastating, to say the least.
Fulton Walker's 98-yard kickoff return was the longest return in Super Bowl history. A crunching block by Steve Shaw eliminated the last Redskin in Walker's path. Following Walker's touchdown, the Redskins immediately threatened the Dolphins' sudden 7-point lead. But when Theismann threw a complete pass inbounds rather than a clock-stopping incompletion that would have left time for a short Mosley field goal try, time ran out on Washington, with Miami holding a 17-10 halftime advantage. In the third quarter, Washington's misdirection plays continued to keep Miami off balance. A flanker reverse to Alvin Garrett gained 44 yards and set up Mark Mosley's second field goal, which cut Miami's lead to 4 points. It quickly became apparent that Don Shula planned to protect his slim lead with a ground attack that would eat up both yards and minutes. But when Andre Franklin was stopped, the Dolphins' offense could no longer generate any continuity or sustained life. In fact, the only pass David Woodley completed in the second half was to Redskin safety Mark Murphy, number 29. While Miami's offense was dead, its defense, like Edgar Allan Poe's Telltale Heart, was still beating, keeping the Dolphins' hopes for victory alive. The Killer Bees swarmed Theismann and intercepted him twice. The Dolphins' defense not only protected the lead, they nearly increased it. Late in the third period, with the ball on the Redskin 18-yard line, Kim Beaucamper deflected Theismann's pass and for a split second had Don Shula's third world championship in his hands.
Oh, Lord! Was that almost the game breaker? Very close.
A touchdown.
And number 58, Kim Beaucamper, came very, very close to an interception for a touchdown. Joe Theismann with a heads-up play. My goodness.
He might be able to play pass defense.
Theismann's alert play prevented a sure touchdown that could have crushed Washington. If he had not knocked the ball out of Beaucamper's hands, Miami would have led 24-13 going into the fourth quarter. Needing 2 touchdowns to win, Washington would have had to abandon their time-consuming running game, and Riggins would no longer have been a factor. Theismann had saved the game. Now Riggins and the Hogs would win it. In the fourth quarter, the Redskins lit up the Super Bowl sky with a game plan straight out of pro football's distant past.
We went to Plan B. Plan B was that we were going to not fool around with any more misdirection. We were going to run directly at them. And so Coach Gibbs told the team right then and there, we're going to go back out. We're going to establish a line of scrimmage. We're not going to get impatient. We're going to win the football game by running it.
Somewhere, Vince Lombardi must have smiled his approval of Joe Gibbs' decision. Washington's quest for the world championship of pro football turned the sport away from its pass-happy present and back to its roots.
John Riggins, the ball carrier.
Riggins, the ball carrier, gains 9 yards.
John Riggins, the ball carrier.
With 10 minutes to play, the Redskins reached the Dolphin 42. It was 4th and 1. The focus of the entire game narrowed to this one critical decision.
Let's go. Goal line, goal line. Eye left tight, wing, 70 chip on white. Ready?
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. Should come with John Riggins right up the middle. Right up over the middle.
Shot! Yellow 41! Yellow 41! Hunt!
There's the snap, and to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down, the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20. He's gone. He's gone. Touchdown, Washington Redskins.
A 43-yard touchdown run from scrimmage is the longest in Super Bowl history.
The play, 70 chip, and the name John Riggins will be forever linked with the most dramatic touchdown run in Super Bowl history.
70 chip, we run it various ways, and the way we scored the Super Bowl is Clint Didier was our wingback. We started him in motion across the formation, faked him, and brought him back. Now, Clint Didier is responsible for the end man on the line of scrimmage, so he blocked a strong safety. John Riggins knows on 70 chip there's going to be one free man. It's going to be the corner. But we tell John, with a running start, and if we capture the line of scrimmage, and John Riggins should beat any cornerback in the NFL.
'70 chip was a perfectly executed play, and the image of John Riggins busting through the arms of Don McNeil will last for all time in the memory of the Redskin faithful.
The big guy did it.
Holy cow, what a play. 42-yard touchdown run on 4th and a foot. John Riggins has given the Redskins the lead in Super Bowl 17.
The Bees are dead.
John Riggins' heroic effort put Washington ahead 20-17. Miami, on the other hand, could find no heroes in the continuing nightmare of a second half. Unable to run or pass, the Dolphins' offense gained a total of only 11 yards in the fourth period. And the Killer Bees, tired and battered, no longer had the strength to stop Washington's procession into history.
8:49 to go on first down. Riggins, left tackle, inside the 40 to the 35. Those Hogs are fired up.
Yeah, that's a big hog in the backfield, too, I'll tell you. It's Diesel.
The Hogs made the holes, and Riggins found them.
Riggins, the ball carrier.
There are no official blocking statistics, but Riggins' statistics are a tribute to the men up front. 38 carries for 166 yards. No player ever carried the ball so often or so far in a Super Bowl.
Riggins up the gut.
Don Shula's losing his deodorant on that sideline now. He's perspiring a little.
Riggins, left tackle, cuts back against the grain to the 25, down to the 24-yard line.
The Redskins marched 41 yards in 12 plays, controlling the ball for 6 minutes and 54 seconds in the most time-consuming drive ever in a Super Bowl.
First down, Redskins. First and goal.
Here's a rollout.
Rolling out to his right.
He should run it in.
He flips it. Touchdown. Touchdown. Redskins. Charlie Brown. That gentleman may be the nail in the coffin.
No question, it is the nail in the coffin.
Charlie Brown's touchdown was sweet icing on a cake baked perfectly by a tough old running back and a group of determined linemen who turned the Rose Bowl into hog heaven and the Washington Redskins into world champions.
Joe Gibbs, the Hogs, and MVP John Riggins have beaten the Miami Dolphins 27-17.
The interesting thing about Riggins' heroics in Super Bowl 17 is that the fullback they called the Diesel was a perfect example of how the 1982 Redskins were built. Unlike the great Steeler teams of the 70s, which laid a foundation through the draft, the Redskins built their champion on outcasts and free agents. Riggins was a free agent picked up in 1976. Dave Butts, Mark Mosley, Joe Jacoby, and Neil Olkowitz, all free agents too. In fact, the 1982 Redskins' 26 free agents were the most of any Super Bowl champion. So it goes to show you that if ever you're feeling unwanted and unloved, don't worry, you could still end up in hog heaven. For Super Bowl Memories, I'm Steve Sadler.
You're ready to quit. Great. Now, Which patch? Single strength Nicotrol? But that means one single step. If you're not comfortable with that, you may want Nicoderm CQ. CQ's a 3-strength program. You start with the highest strength and gradually step down till you free yourself of nicotine. And gradual is the method doctors and pharmacists prefer. Nicoderm CQ. The power to calm, the power to comfort, the power to quit successfully.
Years of the Super Bowl, there was a remarkable trend. The 69 Chiefs, the 70 Colts, the 71 Cowboys, and the 72 Dolphins were all Super Bowl winners who had previously lost in their initial Super Bowl appearances. Well, times have sure changed. In this decade, each continuous Buffalo Bills Super Bowl effort has gotten progressively worse. And of course, in the 1980s, there was the Denver Broncos. In Super Bowl 21, they had hung tough for one half before giving way to the New York Giants. When they came back to repeat as AFC champions a year later, it was their Super Bowl experience that made them overwhelming favorites to defeat the Washington Redskins. And why not? They had John Elway, the NFL MVP, and one of the league's best clutch performers. On the other hand, the Redskin quarterback was Doug Williams, the strong-armed journeyman who had been a backup for most of the season. But Washington had another weapon, and that was head coach Joe Gibbs. Before he retired in 1993, Gibbs won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different starting quarterbacks. And it was this game, featuring Doug Williams' great second-quarter heroics, that may be the most spectacular achievement of Joe Gibbs' coaching career.
The road to Super Bowl 22 stops right here. This afternoon, we're going to play the biggest football game in the history of Western civilization. Or for this year, anyway. The Washington Redskins against the Denver Broncos.
AFC の一色で第1位になりましたデンバーブロンコス対、そして NFC 東地区第1位ワシントンレッドスキンズとの対戦になりました。
Super Bowl 22 was viewed as a contest between one man and a team. The Washington Redskins and head coach Joe Gibbs were making their 3rd Super Bowl appearance in the past 5 seasons, thanks to their cast of many, while the Denver Broncos and head coach Dan Reeves were playing in their 2nd straight Super Bowl because of the superhuman talents of John Elway, number 7. Elway's skills were matched against Doug Williams' heart. Cast as the Super Bowl's Rodney Dangerfield, number 17 was a quarterback who had not gotten the respect that he deserved after leading the Redskins into pro football's premier pressure event. The stage was set for the most stunning beginning in Super Bowl history as the Redskins and the Broncos braced for the ambush at
Spread black left slot. Leave 15X cut out Y sneak on one, right? Black left slot. Yeah.
On their first offensive play of Super Bowl 22, the Denver Broncos immediately demonstrated that there is no adequate defense for speed and daring.
Set hot!
Wide to the far side, 84, Ricky Nattiel. Shotgun formation on first down for Elway. That's a surprise.
Come on, John! Red 98, hot!
Broncos will go right to the shotgun. First snap, Elway drops to the 35, and he's throwing it up the far side. Nattiel is open. Ball coming. Nattiel catches it for a touchdown. 56-yard touchdown pass. Elway to Nattiel. First Bronco plays. 13:03 to go in the first quarter.
The quickest touchdown ever in a Super Bowl was simply Denver doing what they did best. The first time Elway touched the football, he launched a 56-yard rocket to rookie Ricky Nattiel, who had streak passed Redskin cornerback Barry Wilburn.
Well, the Redskins are stunned. First horse out of the gate doesn't always win the race.
While Denver stormed out of the gate, the Redskins stumbled. Washington was suffering from an attack of nerves, while John Elway was attacking with nerves of steel. On Denver's second offensive possession, the Redskins appeared to have no answer for the AFC's top-ranked offense and its multi-talented quarterback.
Denver in the gun again to Steve Sewell. And Sewell wants to throw the ball. Elway wide open. Here comes the pass. 25, 20, 15, and Elway dives to the 12-yard line.
A play that began as a sweep out of the shotgun formation turned into the first pass reception by a quarterback in a Super Bowl when Elway slipped around defensive end Charles Mann. With 3rd and 3 at the Redskins' 7-yard line, Denver's head coach Dan Reeves needed a play that would, at the very least, keep the drive alive. In a similar situation, when these same two teams had met a year earlier, Reeves had sent Elway on a quarterback draw. And when Denver successfully blocked out defensive tackle Dave Butts, the Broncos scored a touchdown. In Super Bowl 22, Denver would attempt this same strategy. Only this time, the Redskins were ready. Dave Butts, number 65, was involved in a crossing stunt with number 77, Darrell Grant, who slanted into the point of attack. This allowed Butts to have a clear shot at Elway, who was dropped for a loss. Denver settled for a Rich Carlos field goal and what seemed to be a valuable historical edge.
No team has won a Super Bowl game after trailing by more than 7 points at any time during the game. Redskins are down 10 here in the first quarter.
Kick it off for the third time again. Sanders is deep, and he catches this one inside the 2. Turns, and he's up to the 10. Knocked down at the 17-yard line and loses the football. Big pile up at around the 15-yard line. Who's got it?
Though Denver believed they had the ball, after a frantic scramble, the officials ruled that Redskins linebacker Raven Caldwell had dug it out of the mob. Unfortunately for Dan Reeves, the replay only showed that the fumble had been caused by a punishing hit by Ken Bell, number 35. Once the ball was on the ground, several players had a shot at it. But when it disappeared beneath the pile, the replay was inconclusive, and the ball was awarded to Washington. Many would later argue that this play was the turning point of Super Bowl 22. But while Denver was denied an important opportunity, their defense never allowed the Redskins to cross midfield on their next 2 possessions. Everything seemed to be going wrong for the Redskins. Even the basics, like a 7-step drop. Late in the first quarter, Doug Williams slipped and twisted his left knee. Williams was ruled down before the apparent fumble. But when he tried to walk back to the huddle, he collapsed. It appeared as though it couldn't get any worse for the Redskins until Williams' replacement, Jay Schrader, number 10, was immediately sacked by Carl Mecklenburg. Denver dominated the first quarter 10-0, and there was nothing to indicate that the Broncos were riding into the Super Bowl's biggest ambush ever.
in a far-off land after years of study. The Great White Ninja.
Goodbye, everyone!
Is coming home.
You're going with him.
No, please.
Now, two brave warriors are putting the mortal back in combat.
Go back!
Chris Farley.
So sorry.
Beverly Hills Ninja.
Can you manage without me? I will try.
Rated PG-13. Opens everywhere tomorrow.
If children are a blessing, then grandchildren are truly a gift. They renew our hope, they recapture our youth. And as grandparents, you want to give them something in return. So perhaps you should consider giving your grandchildren life insurance from State Farm. It's a personal and flexible gift that you can add to as they grow, to help give them financial security for many years to come. Let your State Farm agent help you ensure that their days will be as bright as they made yours.
As the second quarter began, quarterback Doug Williams had tested out his sore left knee and was ready to return to the lineup. Even more encouraging was the fact that Denver's offense had finally started to stall. After completing 3 out of his first 4 passes, Elway completed only 1 out of his next 9. Some were misfires. Others were caused by defensive pressure that allowed the Redskins to regroup.
We're going to start making them in a minute now. We'll start making them. Everybody keep your head up. Stand.
Washington's first offensive play of the second quarter ignited the most stunning 15 minutes of football in NFL history.
The Washington Redskins offense is back on the football field, and so is number 17, Doug Williams. Play action fake. Williams going up top. Got Sanders on the fly at midfield. He's gone unless they can catch him. The 30, the 20, the 15, the 10. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. Just like that. Well, Doug Williams and company light it up, and they're back in this game.
Yes, sir. We coming back. We're going to do it.
Obviously, they're going to pass. Williams to pass, lobs it up. He's got Clark at the goal line. He's got it. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. The Redskins have arrived. They woke up. He'll hand off to Smith, the deep back. Good hole. Midfield. Horse race to the 40. Far side 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. Timmy Smith from 58 yards. We are seeing a virtuoso performance. Action fake this time. Faked out everybody. He's got Sanders in the clear at the 10. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. That's a new Super Bowl record. 4 touchdowns in 1 quarter. Get another one right here. Let's see. Do they go up top? Lobs it into the end zone. He's got Didier. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. Holy!
The Redskins scored 35 points on 5 straight possessions, and by the end of this unbelievable second quarter, everyone in the stadium had memorized the words to hail to the Redskins. Denver's collapse was as sudden as it was complete. Bronco defensive coordinator Joe Collier's unit had given up 5 touchdowns on only 19 plays from scrimmage and had helped to create a new Super Bowl hero. Doug Williams made the most of his moment in history. However, number 17 wasn't just the first black quarterback to start in the Super Bowl. For one magnificent quarter, he was the finest quarterback ever to play the game. This electrifying performance began when Bronco cornerback Mark Haynes crowded the line of scrimmage on the first play of the second quarter, and when wide receiver Ricky Sanders gained an uninterrupted release. Haynes was beaten deep by Williams' accurate throw. Bronco safety Tony Lilly arrived too late as Sanders took the ball in stride for a record-tying 80-yard touchdown reception. The Redskins needed only 5 plays on their second possession to take the lead, 14-10. Gary Clark's diving catch shocked the Broncos and put Washington ahead, 14-10. But this jolt was nothing compared to the second play of Washington's next offensive series. With Denver's defense slanting in the wrong direction, rookie Timmy Smith, number 36, followed the counter gap blocking of his pulling offensive lineman. When tackle Joe Jacoby sealed up the inside, and guard Raleigh McKenzie buried inside linebacker Ricky Hundley, Smith was off on a 58-yard touchdown run that boosted Washington's lead to 21-10. Used very little during his 1987 rookie season, Smith had never started an NFL game prior to Super Bowl 22. From midfield on Washington's 4th possession, Williams threw another deadly accurate mid-range pass that Ricky Sanders extended into a 50-yard touchdown. Sanders would catch 9 passes for 193 yards on the day, a new Super Bowl receiving record. Super Bowl 22 had turned into a dream come true for one quarterback and a nightmare for another. Elway was unable to keep pace with Williams, and throughout the second quarter, he was too often bold when patience might have served him better. Trailing 28-10, Denver's defense needed to rest, but on 2nd and 2, Elway was intercepted by Barry Wilburn, the cornerback he had victimized earlier for a touchdown. Elway's misfire ended Denver's hopes, while Washington marched on thanks to the tough and gritty performance of their former backup quarterback. Neither pressure from the Broncos nor a gimpy knee was going to keep number 17 from his date with destiny. In Super Bowl 22, the character of Doug Williams surpassed the achievement itself. However, Washington's performance was anything but a one-man show. It was simply the result of a team reaching perfection in all phases of the game. Following Wilburn's interception, the Redskins drove 79 yards in 1 minute and 10 seconds. When Williams found tight end Clint Didier, Washington scored their 5th straight touchdown. In the second quarter of Super Bowl 22, the Washington Redskins established postseason records with 35 points and 356 yards of offense in one period. Amazingly, this Super Sunday ambush had taken the total time of possession of 5 minutes, 54 seconds.
Jesse, you're next.
I'm all yours.
Save it for the stage, Romeo.
Carol always gives it to me straight. Lucky you.
By the second half of Super Bowl 22, Doug Williams had created his very own legend.
He's a new namer. He'll be the most valuable player, too, isn't he? That's what really counts.
It would take a magical effort equal to that of the Redskins' second quarter in order for Denver to get back into the game. However, not even a magician like John Elway could make the 25-point deficit and Washington's punishing defense disappear. hurried and rushed throughout the second half. John Elway didn't panic, and he didn't freeze. He simply couldn't do what he had to do to be effective. The Redskins' defense wouldn't allow it. With no threat of a running game, Washington blitzed a safety or linebacker on every big play, cutting off escape lanes and turning up the pressure. Elway was sacked 5 times and constantly hurried. Elway fired 1 interception to a wide-open Tony Davis, number 34. 2 more to Barry Wilburn, number 45. And when Denver managed to gain only 2 yards in the third quarter, the competitive phase of Super Bowl 22 ended.
Ladies and gentlemen, the orange has been squeezed.
For the second straight season, the Denver Broncos lost pro football's biggest game. Once again, they were forced to watch someone else live out their dream.
Most valuable player of Super Bowl 22 is quarterback Doug Williams of the Washington Redskins.
The first black quarterback to start a Super Bowl, the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. I tell you what I hope Doug Williams does, Frank. I hope he puts to bed once and for all about the black athlete in professional football.
For Doug Williams, the Washington Redskins, and their fans, this triumphant story would be punctuated by another record-shattering performance.
I'd hand that ball to Timmy Smith, see what he can do with it again.
Here goes Timmy Smith on the left side. Good blocks, 40, 35, 30. Breaks it outside of the 20. He's to the 15 and pulled down at the 11. Holy cow, say the Broncos. Who is that kid?
Running back Timmy Smith, number 36, had been a surprise starter that Joe Gibbs hoped would give the Redskins some outside speed. Gibbs obviously got what he wanted. And by game's end, this rookie had broken Marcus Allen's Super Bowl rushing record by gaining 204 yards on 22 carries.
Snap, here comes Timmy Smith up the middle. Touchdown, Washington Redskins.
Fittingly, Timmy Smith closed out the scoring as the Washington Redskins convincingly won the greatest prize pro football has to offer.
Hail to the Redskins begins here in San Diego. The football game is over. The Washington Redskins, for the second time in 5 years, are National Football League champions.
In Super Bowl 22, the Washington Redskins discovered a winning formula by mixing tradition with a dash of the unexpected. The Redskins of head coach Joe Gibbs and general manager Bobby Beathard combined skill and daring with a kind of fundamental football that invariably triumphs in pressure situations. It was a record-breaking performance by a determined group of men who ambushed the favored Denver Broncos 42-10 and earned the right to be called world champions.
The only difficult thing Doug Williams faced at Super Bowl 22 was the week-long media crunch that can, at times, get a little ridiculous. For example, one writer actually asked Williams, "How long have you been a black quarterback?" Well, To this day, no one really knows what Williams' response was, but sadly, his days as an NFL quarterback did not last long after Super Bowl 22. He was out of the game by 1989. So too was running back Timmy Smith. Both Smith and Williams hold high places of honor in the Super Bowl record book, and their achievements are testimony to Joe Gibbs' greatness. In Super Bowl 26, Gibbs came back with another anonymous group, including quarterback Mark Rippon, and came away with another overwhelming victory. Joe Gibbs retired as one of only 3 head coaches with at least 3 Super Bowl victories. But it was this one, Super Bowl 22, that was his masterpiece. Hi, I'm Steve Sable. Super Bowl 26 presented a dream matchup between the 2 best teams in professional football. The Buffalo Bills had come within inches of winning a world championship in Super Bowl 25, and many thought that this game would mark their coronation as kings of the NFL. But in the Washington Redskins, they faced a team that was as bright as they were brutish, a team that sought their 3rd Lombardi trophy in 10 years.
B-U-F-F-A-L-O! Put it all together and you got a Buffalo! B-U-F-F-A-L-O! Bills! Hail to the Redskins! Hail victory! Brave on the one hand! Fight for all BC!
Before every battle, there are battle cries. Before every war, there is a war of words. And before Super Bowl 26 ever began, there was sound and fury that, alas, signified nothing.
4 quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters. We're gonna pump it up, baby. We're gonna make history today. This is surreal. We got no game tomorrow, Steve. What's up with that? Who we playing tomorrow? Nobody. This is it. 6 minutes. This is it. Show them something they've never seen. All I got to say.
Big talk has never won the Super Bowl. World champions need steel nerves and steely eyes, a steady hand and a firm grip. Some teams measure up to the size of the challenge, while others seem dwarfed by the enormity of the prize. Despite the clash of styles, there was little argument that the Washington Redskins and the Buffalo Bills were the 2 best teams in pro football. The flamboyant Bills pranced onto pro football's largest stage like the Funky Bunch, while those old smoothies, the Redskins, glided into the Metrodome doing that old soft shoot.
Yes! Here we
go! 2 vastly different teams vied for a championship. Only one could win.
Peace.
Where else would you rather be than right here, right now?
We're world champions. Let's go. Kick some ass. Do it for Mike. Do it for yourselves. Do it for everyone. 1, 2, 3. Go!
In the first quarter, the Redskins marched downfield behind the hands and legs of number 81, Art Monk, their ancient but ageless wide receiver.
receptions. Monk accounted for 79 of the 87 yards. The drive was much like the Redskins themselves, orderly, precise, and predictably ending with a touchdown.
To his right, throws it in the end zone. Leaping catch for Monk. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. They've drawn first blood in Super Bowl 26. Got too many weapons, too many weapons. I think I'm going down to the locker room, guys.
Uh-oh, he's saying it's over. Let the record show 5:51 left in the first quarter. Jurgensen thinks it's over. They're checking to see now if Monk had both feet inbound.
They got to overrule that one.
Instant replay. Well, let's see. Left foot on the replay is down. Right foot is on the line. Out. He's out. He's out.
It's no touchdown. We have a reversal.
It's going to reverse.
Rutledge to hold. Uh-oh, fumble on a snap. Rutledge picks it up. It's going to be no points. A 7-point swing. Who got through? 97 Cornelius Bennett. That's who.
Order turned into chaos as the botched field goal triggered turnovers on the next two possessions.
Here's an interception. It's 27. Brad Edwards back at the 30. He's returning to the 20, to the 15, to the 17-yard line. Big turnover.
Hey, defense got to get the ball and give it back to him. We got to get the ball back to him, man.
Okay, Sonny, do you hit him quick here or do you run it?
Put some pressure on him. Get him!
Known for being the ultimate closers, the best finishers in the game, the Washington Redskins saw two certain scoring opportunities wasted. And even worse, they had allowed the floundering Bills to stagger back into the game. Defending the most balanced offense in pro football presented two enormous challenges: Mark Rippon and the prolific Redskin running game. The hard-hitting Bills limited the Redskins to 60 yards rushing in the first half.
Stuck up, baby! Stuck up out there! Come on, baby! Get your penetration! Let's go!
In a season when Mark Rippon was sacked only 9 times and was often barely breathed on, the active Bill defense hit him early and often.
I think they hurt him. He's stunned. He is stunned. He really got hit. I mean, those linebackers took him apart. Boy, he really got drilled.
Look at him. He's hurt. You can see it. Now, this may be a mistake here, him staying in there.
Rippon sets up. Gonna go deep. He's got Sanders at the 20. Grabs the ball and pulled down to the 16. And Rippon, hurt with his ribs, you could tell, comes right back and throws a bullet for a big one. Who wasn't one to take him out for a couple of players? What? His left arm's dangling down to his ankles? Leave him in there. He throws with the right.
Mark Rippon was rattle-proof. And just as easily as he shrugged off the Bills' attempts to shake him, his teammates shook off their early jitters.
Don't let him in! Don't let him in! Let's go!
Clark and Monk stack here on the near side in lightning formation.
Rippon back to pass on a quick shot. Throws it in the near flat to Biner at the 5. Dives to the corner. Touchdown, Washington Redskins.
When you come up on those hitches, try to punch under the arm and make that ball come out of it. Because you don't know where you're coming up at. Good solid tackle and punch under the arm and make that ball come out. Come on, line. Keep working on
The frantic Bills, who own the top-rated offense in pro football, trailed 10-0 early in the second quarter. But the primary weapons in their high-tech attack, quarterback Jim Kelly and running back Thurman Thomas, were stuck. Desperate to gain a chokehold on this game, Kelly deserted Thomas and the running game, which produced only 8 yards in the first half, and decided victory would have to come from the air. But this strategy evolved into a frustrating series of missed opportunities. First downs slipped away, and touchdowns slid through their fingers.
Bills never got a handle on this game and lost a grip on themselves.
Unsportsmanlike conduct foul on number 83 offense.
When you lose your cool, that's what happens.
There goes Kelly. Sets up at the 5. Throwing deep. Got a man there. It's picked off by Darrell Green. Goodbye. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene.
I can't believe Kelly hung that ball up there like that. He's got too much experience for that kind of pass against the Redskins.
Sam, he's in the playoffs so far. He's thrown 3 touchdown passes.
9 completions in 21 attempts with 2 interceptions added up to a first half bottom line filled with red ink, when the true colors of Super Bowl 26 were burgundy and gold. The Redskins passed and ran at will and assumed command of the game by the middle of the second period. They would graphically demonstrate their varied attack weapons and showcase the skills that made them the highest scoring team in pro football. They broke breathtakingly big plays. And then down deep, the Hogs made the dirty little ones beautiful.
Yeah! Let's go! Big play! Come on, Hogs! Come on, Hogs! Look at that!
The beef goes to the line of scrimmage. Gerald Riggs is the deep back behind Don Warren in an I formation. There's the snap. Rippon hands to Riggs over the right side. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. Rippon runs back up the field, sprints up on his fist.
He is excited.
Donnie Warren with a key block, and Riggs takes it over.
I have never seen Rippon so excited. I mean, he's
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He hasn't been here before. He didn't play the last time.
Well, it looks like he may return. The way they're playing now.
They ain't that good, man, if you keep playing, right? Just got to keep playing.
The Bills kept their bravado, but trailing 17-0, it was hard to keep a brave face. 30 minutes stood between the Redskins and their 3rd Super Bowl victory.
This is what it's all about now. Let's go on, baby. Hey! The hand signal for run is this. That's their hand signal for run. Okay? Hey, listen up now. I'm calling you. Again. Go! Let's go! All they doing is playing the hitch game on the corner down there. The hitch game is draw play. Make a play. It's right there for you. They're holding and not calling that. Everybody stay together, though. Stay together.
Kelly to pass, blitzed up the middle, has to dump it off, picked off, intercepted at the 25, to the 20, to the 15. It's Gadea to the 5, almost to the end zone.
The interception on the first play from scrimmage resulted from a blitz by linebacker Andre Collins. It was the brainchild of assistant coach Larry Peccatello, who dreamt it up on the bus on the way to the game. Dub Mac 1 is its proper name, but its rightful moniker is the bus driver's special. The maneuver took advantage of the Bills' vulnerable middle and came as a complete surprise. Another look at the play reveals that the inventive Redskins induced Thurman Thomas to take a few false steps from which he never recovered. It was said the Redskins were a brainy team, not the best team. But the best and brightest head coach is Joe Gibbs. And his impeccably prepared team took immediate advantage of the turnover.
Riggs going left, cuts back over the middle, walks into the end zone. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. Very cool, very calm, never touched.
The Redskins had dominated on offense with 24 points, but the shutout was cemented by its versatile defense.
I went around the corner on him. You got held there. That's what you got. I just went all the way around and hit him. I'm saying I could beat this guy around the corner, but he grabbed me and tackled me to the ground.
This defense has both brains and brawn.
We don't have back coming inside. I'm complimenting him out.
The Bills' receivers were the victims of a vicious mugging. Because they were forced to pass on every play, the receivers became clay pigeons, easy to hit. set up to explode. The Bills played gamely, but they could not plug all the leaks. When one was filled, another sprang up, and Jim Kelly was sacked 5 times. While their fans caved in, the Bills never gave up. And it was this fighting spirit that willed them back into the game in the 3rd quarter. The Bills converted Don Beebe's 43-yard reception into a modest 3 points, and then made the game competitive on a short touchdown by Thurman Thomas.
I think they're going to run it, guys. Let's see, it is 3rd down and goal, and here is Thurman Thomas in for the touchdown. Running off left tackle, the Bills have scored. It is 24-9. And the Bills have come back with 10 unanswered points after trailing 24-0. Boy, does that first touchdown of the 3rd quarter look huge now.
This country has always had a place in her heart for anyone with the guts to strap on a helmet, take on the odds, and stick it to the man.
The Winter X Games, presented by Nike.
People to try Wheaties, the breakfast of champions.
You know what I love is the texture. They're crunchy, they don't get soggy. These Wheaties are awesome. It's a great start to the day.
Try the championship taste of Wheaties.
Better eat your Wheaties.
Look at this puny glass. Mom, orange juice is one thing that's good for my heart. No fat, no cholesterol.
100% pure Florida orange juice. Are you drinking enough?
Albert, don't drink out of the jug.
I'm not.
The Tsars ruled Russia with an iron hand, never knowing how powerful a stick could be. They never watched hockey. Now they did. Watch the NHL on ESPN2 before life passes you by.
The game, which once had everyone sitting on their hands, became one that had everyone coming out of their seats. With 6 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter, the dramatic focus of Super Bowl 26 shifted sharply to the Redskins. Their once insurmountable lead had been reduced to 24-10, and the 80 yards that Mark Rippon had to navigate for a touchdown appeared like 80 miles. But Rippon and Gary Clark, number 84, turned this thorny trip into a rosy victory lap as they played a game of pitch and catch, connecting 4 times for 60 yards. They converted 2 crucial 3rd downs on the drive. The second coming on a play that is called Scram Right Touchdown.
Tremendous pass again by Mark Rippon right into letters. So it's 3rd down 10.
Rippon 16 for 28, 245 yards. Back he goes. Good protection again. Going deep. He's got Clark in the end zone. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. fair catch. He was so open. 30-yard touchdown pass. Rippon has struck gold.
Too many weapons. Backbreaker right there because the pressure was back on the Redskins, and they responded.
The stunning 11-play, 80-yard march was both an exclamation point and a period to Super Bowl 26.
Good job, man. Good job.
The opportunistic Redskin defense helped sweeten the 34-10 lead. A fumble and an interception were converted into field goals in the fourth quarter.
Gonna go deep, airing it out. Mayhew's out there and got a better shot at it. Ball tipped in the air and grabbed. It's Brad Edwards at the 32. He's back to the 40. He's to midfield to the Buffalo 40. Cuts to the near side 35 and goes down at the 34.
The Redskins dropped the final curtain, a shroud on Buffalo. But the Bills bowed out like troopers, scoring 2 more times on touchdown passes by Jim Kelly. Bills played gallantly, but fruitlessly, and expended every last bit of emotion and energy. The Washington Redskins had won Super Bowl 26, 37-24. With almost 300 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, Mark Rippon, the most valuable player, reaped all the rewards.
I'm going to Disney World. I'm coming with you.
Rippon's trip to the Magic Kingdom should also include a stop at Hog Heaven, the place where his dreams came true. Hog Heaven is not located in rarefied air, but rests on the ground floor and formed the sturdy base for victory. Knowing a frontal assault would be suicidal, the Bills' light but maneuverable front 7 tried to outwit and outflank the massive Redskin offensive line by shifting, stunting, and exchanging assignments up to the snap of the ball. But these Hogs were a movable feast, and everywhere a Buffalo Bill went, these piggies were sure to follow. Rippon had an uncluttered pocket and clear passing lanes because the Hogs chopped down any potential obstruction. Redskin running backs often found their path unimpeded, especially at the goal line.
Great blocking by the Hogs.
They saw a hole you could drive a truck through.
Oh, the Redskins have really dominated this game.
You know, they always talk about how the NFC is more physical than the AFC, and you got to believe in this game, some of that is showing up. They just seem to be a more physical ball club.
They're just beating up the Bills, as you say.
Dickerson, the defensive coordinator, he was doing all those sounds about those Hogs, and we're going to get those Hogs. We're seeing those big old fat Hogs.
Bruce Smith looks disillusioned.
Bruce Smith, number 78, was the most obvious target of the Hogs' brutal ballet. Playing on only one good leg, the injured All-Pro was like a man caught going the wrong way through a revolving door. The Redskins' victory in Super Bowl 26 was as overpowering as the Hogs' blocking, and as majestic and perfect as one of Mark Rippon's passes. With a coaching staff as deep and talented as the team itself, they had thoroughly defeated the best team in the AFC and richly earned the title of world champions.
The final gun sounds. Super Bowl 26 is over. The world champion Washington Redskins, winners over the Buffalo Bills, 37-24. The world championship has been secured for the Washington Redskins. Picked to win it all before the season even began, they have fulfilled the promise. 17 wins, only 2 losses, and a dramatic domination of Super Bowl 26. World champions.
I think when you're a #1 draft choice, the fans, they want some justification. Why did you draft this little bitty guy from Texas A&I, and all of a sudden, the Dallas Cowboy game, he catch Tony Dorsett? People just forgot about everything else and say, we love this guy. There's nobody I didn't think I could catch. I mean, I felt like I was the fastest guy on the earth, really. And I say that in humility. That wasn't an issue for me. Running to me is like walking.
And it's a good start. They can't even come out of the box. But all of a sudden, Gerald Green starts to pull on Willie Gault. He won't catch him. Gerald Green is the fastest man in the NFL.
Had he done the track, I really think he'd have been the premier sprinter in the world, because nobody could start like Gerald Green.
Apparently, no one can finish like him either. He never ran in the Olympics, but he did carry the torch on its way to Atlanta in 1996. A fitting honor, because the sprinter has had a marathon career, and he's faster now than he was as a rookie.
He's chased down by Gerald Green at the 35-yard line. Green saves the touchdown. Snap to Brown, the 39, quick slant into the hands of Gerald Green. He's gone! Touchdown, Washington Redskins! The little guy just blistered that sideline. He burnt the grass. You knew when he caught it, he was like a jet. Yeah.
His body doesn't seem to age. He's out there at his age running with 23, 24, 25-year-olds, and on a daily basis, he's got more bounce, he's got more enthusiasm, he's got more life in him.
I always had that touch of, let's have fun, man. Let's do this thing with the intensity that it takes. Man, let's have a ball while we do it.
2-2-0, buddy. Make you run fast.
And sack quarterbacks. And hit pass catchers. And knock down footballs. Actually, hard work turned this track star into a complete quarterback. He ranks second among active players in career interceptions. And he scored on one of the most memorable punt returns in playoff history.
He hurdles over a guy, pulls the cartilage off his rib cage. He's running into the end zone holding his ribs.
He's gone! Touchdown, Washington Redskins! Darrell Green returns.
Darrell Green was, without the flair and all the media stuff, he was Deion Sanders before Deion.
And like Deion, Darrell is just so versatile and talented that he doesn't know what to do next.
Do I smile? Do I sing? Do I look mean? What do I do? Do I jump? Do I run? Do I hop? If I smile, at least you won't know I'm scared, huh?
His fear was fake, because the 5'8" Green has never been afraid to stand up to anyone.
Darrell Green actually would come into me every now and then and go, I think you're screwing up. He really would. He was that kind of guy. And I'd kind of go, what? But I needed to listen to him, because he'd say, hey, we need to do this, this, and this.
The little peanut head boy that grew up in Houston, Texas, that nobody ever thought would have done anything. When I went out for football in 11th grade, there are guys specifically, and they know their names, they laughed. They literally laughed, and I know their faces. I can see them right now.
He's kind of like a little blue VW he drives all the time. Just a tiny little thing, but it's in tip-top shape, and it runs perfect, and it does everything right, and that's Do-Good. DG, I call him Do-Good.
Do-Good has been doing just that, on and off the field, since 1983. He signed thousands of autographs and made hundreds of charity appearances. But one night a few years back, Do-Good decided he needed to do more.
But this particular night was Christmas. Christmas time. These kids didn't have on proper clothing. didn't need diapers changed. The parents smelled like alcohol. Just the whole devastating scene. I'm driving home, man, and just all of a sudden, boom, I just started crying. It was just something just broke in me. And I felt it was God just saying, Darryl, you know, you've been a great celebrity, a great football guy, but you know, you're really not doing anything. That same little boy that you picked up, it's the same little boy when you left. I had no plan, a vision, but I had a heart that says, from that day, I'm gonna do something. So we started the Darryl Green Learning Centers just about over 3 years ago. And in those centers, the kids come every day, and they get everything that is needed that supports the 4 institutions in this country that develops a child: home, school, church, and government. Good job. The vision that we have, the application of what we do, it works.
Help you find Brown.
All right.
I like what they do for us, because when we wasn't at the learning center, we used to go home and be bored.
Green's Learning Center offers new challenges each day, and it promises new hopes for tomorrow.
These will be the kids of the future that will be the mayors, the lawyers, the coaches, and the school teachers. Something that when the highlights are gone will still be around, because that's when those kids who we're working with will have kids and grandkids, and I'll have had a part in that just because I played football.
He's the kind of guy that I point my children towards and say, be like Darryl Green. A guy that recognizes the platform that he has as a professional athlete and uses it to benefit the community that he works in.
There's no other reason I was created to be an NFL football player and all the recognition that I get than that. It's not just to come and eat, drink, and be married. What kind of life is that? To eat, drink, and be married, then die. That's a greater purpose for being here, and it's more than just running up and down the field.
Coming up on the of a kind, quarterback Billy Kilmer.
In the summer of 1971, the Washington Redskins acquired a forgotten journeyman quarterback named Billy Kilmer. With Sonny Jurgensen firmly established as Washington's starting quarterback, Kilmer's future looked no different than his past. For 10 years, he had known only discouragement, frustration, and misfortune. 10 years before, in 1961, Billy Kilmer, number 17, was a first-round draft choice of the San Francisco 49ers. But his promising debut was cut short when his legs were crushed in a nearly fatal car accident. Doctors told him that he would never play football again. But after a year and a half of determined rehabilitation, Kilmer returned to the 49ers. He never fulfilled the promise of his rookie year, however, and in 1967, he was sent to the New Orleans Saints in the expansion draft. For 4 years, Kilmer played valiantly for the worst team in the NFL. He was not always the best of quarterbacks, but he was the best of men, unafraid of failure and strong enough to assume the responsibility of defeat.
I'm sorry, Jim. Keep looking on 72. Geez, I just went blank, that's all. Gosh darn it. I can't do nothing right.
In 1969, Kilmer suffered another setback. He was benched and replaced by Ed Hargett. In 1971, he was traded to Washington, where George Allen planned to use him as a backup for Sonny Jurgensen. But Allen's plan had to be revised when Jurgensen was injured.
We have a lot of bumps and bruises, but all of this can help make us stronger. We got a guy like Billy Kilmer can come in and lead the team and help us, and that's what we want.
Kilmer had neither the arm nor the easy grace of Sonny Jurgensen, but he had a sense of daring and bravado which he was able to communicate to his coach as well as his teammates.
Here's what my policy is usually to go for 3 points. How close are we to a touchdown?
About an inch.
Is that right?
That's all.
Yes, we're gonna go for it. Go for it. All of this is guts down here.
With Kilmer leading the way, the surprising Redskins made the playoffs for the first time in 26 years. And Kilmer was chosen the team's most valuable player.
Listen up. Give this game ball to a guy, I tell you, that did a hell of a job today. He broke right out of that stuff and came out and led us right to leadership. Give him the ball. This ball goes to Billy Kilmer because he...
For 6 years, Billy Kilmer directed Washington's offense. 5 times he led the Redskins to the playoffs, and once to the Super Bowl. Within each victory, there were harsh reminders of Kilmer's past. But as always, he eventually conquered both pain and adversity. Kilmer's character was as strong and resilient as his body, and his career became proof that persistence and courage can produce the same results as great talent.
I think the guy that should get the game ball is Bubba Tyer. He stopped, this thing was bleeding so bad and blood was in my eyes and in my mouth, and I told him, I said, you got to stop this bleeding. And he went over there, he was better than any cut man in pro boxing. He got that thing all stopped up, and from there it was just a matter of picking out the right guy, that's all.
As long as football remains a game of heart as well as speed and skill, Billy Kilmer will always be remembered as one of the best ever.
Warrior Pat Fisher.
Pat Fisher stood 5'9" and weighed 165 pounds and was as good an acorn as you could find at a time when NFL teams were looking for oaks. The Cardinals drafted him out of Nebraska in 1961. And after a brief tryout as a receiver, number 37 became their left cornerback, a position he owned for 7 years. He was a small egg beater that whirled and mashed anyone in his path.
He had perfect form. He had great form. And I think his height helped him because he was able to get down there and get down below you instead of hitting your chest to hit down where you could hit and lift.
Fisher reduced the art of tackling to a simple matter of angles and leverage.
Stay low, keep my head up. When I make contact, lift, and take at least one of his legs away from me. If I can get him off the ground with one leg, I'm going to win the war. Because now he doesn't have any power. What he has to have is both legs driving in order for him to run over me.
Traded to the Redskins in 1975, few players ran over number 37. But even in Washington, his skirmishes with backs and receivers were part of a 17-year running battle for respect.
Pat couldn't have been 5'9", 170 at tops. That's what if they wrapped him up in a lot of tape.
And I was 6'5" and a little bit more, and Coach Lombardi used to always say, well, this is like taking candy from a baby.
Pat Fisher shows that size and speed is not necessarily the #1 requisite for a football player. Never missed a practice, never missed a game, played 110%. He was as tough as nails, loved the game, tremendous competitor.
Fisher played the corner with his head first and his body second. This enabled him to anticipate a receiver's every move.
You can remember back in those days, they played a lot of bump and run, man-to-man defense, and he'd be on you like your underwear. No matter, he was like a fly. You could never get rid of him. You whack him and you think you're open, and there he is. And when you did catch a ball in his area, he let you know he would nail you. He would take on fullbacks, halfbacks, a guard pulling out. He'd dip underneath them.
Because Pat Fisher attacked much larger players with such relish, it is surprising that he's a soft-spoken, scholarly man who resembles the popular 50s television character, Mr. Peepers.
Once you win that war, that's the mental thing, that it's not going to hurt. And that big guy, you can win the war. It's kind of exciting to do it. If pain isn't going to be a part of it, only embarrassment is left if I fail to make the contact and get him down. You have to be a hitter. You have to run through people. Now, what makes you a good football player is how often you do that. If you do it every play, you're going to be a great football player.
He tackled like a rope or a crab. He hit you with all fours, legs, arms, everything. And without exception, he hurt you every time he tackled you.
You'd catch a high pass from him, and he'd jump on your back and get his fingers in your eyes and claw you to death.
That first game was a pretty good experience for me because, you know, I got out there and he started talking to me, and he intimidated me. Threatened to break my leg, this, that, you know. He was probably the one guy that I've ever played against in professional football where when you came off the line of scrimmage, you had to know where he was at.
Fisher was fearless and tenacious. Many players have these qualities, but few could shape it into such a frightening and unrelenting force. From whistle to gun, he beat on, agitated, outwitted, and intimidated receivers. He was the pepper in the Redskins stew.
Distraction is the key to why you want to intimidate. Make them think about you. Make them know and realize that if they do catch the ball, they're going to have to pay the penalty for it. And over a period of time, the war will be won by the guy that's more aggressive.
Fisher's most famous duels were fought with the Eagles' Harold Carmichael, number 17, and Oak, who outsized the Acorn by 50 pounds and 11 inches.
Go through the receiver to the ball. And in that case, with Harold Carmichael, it was always proved to be a valuable instrument. Go through him to the ball. Go through him to the ball. If you want to run inside, you may catch it, and you may get the first down, but I'm going to have to hit you. I'm going to have to punish you for doing it. And that's the rule.
Few could deny their admiration for this toy terrier who kept nipping at their heels. His peers respected Fisher for his spirit and spunk and realized that few players had mined the ore of their talent so completely.
Pat Fisher was not that fast, not that big, but he had a heart, loved the game, smart football player. Should be an all-pro, should be in the Hall of Fame someday.
Pat Fisher packed such intensity into every play, focused his talent with such skill, aged with such grace, that he played more games at cornerback than any player in NFL history.
He was an ace player.
Prime-time performers.
Careers in the heart of New York City at the NFL Draft. For players like John Riggins, a 1971 first-round draft pick for the Jets, New York would become home. In a city that has a mix of quirkiness, glamour, and grit, Riggins fit right in. He finished his Hall of Fame career in Washington. But for 5 seasons, Riggo had a New York state of mind. In 1971, a Kansas farm boy named John Riggins arrived in New York and made an immediate impression.
The first thing we kind of noticed about John was that he was able to grow an afro. Here's this guy coming out of Kansas, a white guy. So all of a sudden, I mean, he's a soul brother, and guys are kind of playing with him in a little different light.
Riggins had the look. The question was, did he have the game? Were you very confident that you were going to make it in the NFL?
I was kind of ignorant of the NFL. So I didn't know of all the first-round draft choices over the years who'd made it and hadn't made it. I remember Bob Ferguson, the big fullback from Ohio State, was a guy that didn't quite catch on. I'm figuring, you know, I'm going to be a Bob Ferguson.
At 6'2" and 230 pounds, Riggins was bigger and better than Bob Ferguson. Riggins was a high school sprint champion who broke Gale Sayers' career rushing record at the University of Kansas. And he didn't slow down when he came to the NFL. Could you complete this sentence for me? The mark of a great running back is?
His eyes. It's his eyes. If you can't see the cracks, if you can't find daylight, it's hopeless. Forget about it. It starts right there with your eyes. Maybe along that line is the instinct. I think to me it's a very physical game. You know, I grew up on a farm and we used to get cattle, you know. The cattle will always stay away from you, they're very passive, but you know, you get one in a corner and you got a problem. Invariably, a defense would put me in a corner. That's when they had a problem.
Most great players agree, football is a head game, and no running back used his head as creatively as John Riggins.
It certainly drew attention, but it also made a statement about me, which is, you know, I don't know if I want to mess with that guy. You know, the last guy you ever want to pick on is a crazy guy. I mean, you know, the tough guy, you got a shot because you think he'll think logically. The crazy guy, don't know what he's going to do.
John, when did you first realize that this was a business?
It wasn't really my rookie year because I think I was still starstruck. I think it was actually my second year. And I think Weeb, actually, the general manager, sent me a bonus check for $1,000. If I'm not mistaken, my second year I had 944 yards, but I missed basically 4 games. And so he said, you know, it would have been more had you made 1,000 yards. And I thought, really? That was kind of when I started to realize that it wasn't quite exactly what the ancient Greeks had in mind when they invented the Olympics.
I viewed the game through the wide, starry eyes of a youth when I first came into it. In reality, that's just not the way it is, my friends. This is a business. And the only thing that really makes it a game is the competition that burns in the athletes that play on Sunday afternoon.
Riggins was the first back in Jets history to rush for more than 1,000 yards in a season. But after 5 years of losing, he was so frustrated that his competitive fire was reduced to a mere flicker. When you were playing with the Jets, you were quoted your last year that you were half-hearted. You said the quote was that you were like a machine at half throttle. That must have been a bad feeling for you. I mean, being the competitor that you are, looking at your whole career, to think to yourself that I'm only going half speed here. Is that why you left the Jets?
Yeah, I mean, well, there was another reason. It was Joe Namath. John Riggins' talent was really never going to be explored, I didn't feel, as long as Joe was the quarterback, because it was going to be a passing team. And Joe called his own plays back then. I got an ego, and, you know, I've got a little bit of pride, and so I thought, well, I wouldn't mind having the team geared towards me. I think I have that kind of talent. But I also know this is Joe Namath.
He wanted parity. He wanted parity with Namath. And if he didn't get parity with Namath, he was willing to take his trade someplace else. John was one of the first free agents, and George really went after him to get him. But once he got him, he used him as a blocking back, you know. One time, John went to George and said, "Hey, George, why don't you just put a 60 number on me? You get the ball 4 or 5. Sometimes you only get it a couple times a game."
I think George wanted a little quicker scat back. He was not quite sure what was going through Riggins' mind. I don't think he trusted him.
Riggins was unhappy playing for George Allen, and things only got worse when Jack Pardee took over as head coach 2 years later. So, in July 1980, Riggins made a stunning announcement. He was quitting pro football at age 30.
I have resigned my position of fullback effective 1:00 p.m. Sunday, July 27, 1980. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Signed, John Riggins.
John didn't have agendas. It was tough to resent John Riggins. It wasn't like now, where Ricky Williams leaves a team in the lurch and you hear teammates saying, "I don't ever want him back. To hell with him." That wasn't the case with John. And there was a certain, as usual about John, honorable defiance. John said, "I don't want to be under thumb. I want to do whatever I want to do."
There was a little bit of retribution in my walking away. In the 9 years that I'd played, I saw a lot of hearts broken. You have friends, and next thing you know, during training camp, the knock comes, and they're no longer on a team. And that was hard for me. I mean, over the years, I'd kind of just, this resentment had grown and grown. I kind of went, all right, now you guys are going to know what it's like to feel rejection. Now, it's your deal. Without me, figure it out.
New Redskins coach Joe Gibbs visited John Riggins in Kansas, hoping to convince him to come back.
And so he just shows up unannounced. I was kind of like, well, hey, least you can do is call. You just don't show up and say, "Hey, Joe Gibbs, hey, new coach."
The very first time I meet him, he's coming across the back of the courtyard with a hunting outfit on. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. He's got a beer can in his right hand. You know, I'm kind of going, oh, great.
I got to get beer in each hand, one for him, one for me. Joe goes, nah. And I went, well, a little early in the morning. He said, no, and I went, oh, okay. He said, I'll drink them, which I did.
10 minutes into this thing, he finally leans across the table on the first meaningful thing he said to me. He looks across that table and he goes, "You need to get me back there. I'll make you famous." And all of a sudden I go, oh my gosh. The guy's a fruitcake. I'm going to get stuck coaching a fruitcake for 10 years.
His teammates gave Riggins a royal reception, but he explained his return with typical irreverence.
Hey, I'm bored, I'm broke, and I'm back.
He had tremendous football arrogance. And I can remember numerous times walking in RFK Stadium. He said, "Buggs, come over here." He said, "About 57,000 in the crowd today." I said, "Yeah, Johnny." He said, "They all came to see me. So make sure Gibbsy gets the message. I want the ball." I said, "You got it."
Gibbs made Riggins the centerpiece of his offense, and he responded by becoming the only back to rush for more yards in his 30s than in his 20s, aided in part by a pregame ritual.
We would never take the field until John got his vitamin B shot in the rear end. We heard, "Ah!" That was John Riggins getting his vitamin B. We said, "We're ready to go." So those were the things. And I asked the doctor, I said, "What actually is a vitamin B shot?" He said, "Oh, we fill that thing with water and just give him a jab." He thinks he's Superman after that.
But beneath the tattered cape was not a superhero, but an anti-hero.
I was a hedonist, take it or leave it, kind of a pagan hedonist. I don't know about my diet, but let's face it, I didn't get a lot of sleep. I lived for the moment, and I lived to enjoy myself. And I never thought of myself as really putting in much time. I felt like I'd try, but I knew in my heart that I didn't quite see it through. I was lazy.
Yeah, but in a way, I don't know whether that's true, because to me...
I know, I've heard a lot of people say no.
That you're a little bit of a sandbagger in this, because I remember going to Redskin practices, and the team would come off the field, and it'd be twilight, and you'd be down there all by yourself running sprints. So to me, some of this is a little. You're trying to let people know that, well, look, I'm a natural, I'm not working, but in your heart, there really was that. You really were committed. You really did work.
He would come in at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning and get the weights done where nobody would see him. He'd go in the training room late at night or early in the morning so nobody can see him get it treated in there. So he was kind of a sly fox about that.
One time, John wanted to go duck hunting in Baltimore, so he had to be in a duck blind before the sun came up. He said by 4:30. So we asked if we could work out at 2:30 in the morning.
And people look at running backs, you know, like spring flowers. They bloom quickly, brightly, and then they're gone. Here's I don't know what kind of species you were that you could come in at 32, 33 and take the beating that you did. You didn't seem to lose any speed.
Well, I've never doubted my talent. I mean, seriously, my talent was, in all honesty, and what am I going to do? Go, oh, shucks, you accused me of sandbagging a little while ago. The truth of the matter was, there's probably only a handful of backs that had my talent. Big Jim's the one that comes to mind right away because physically, we're so similar.
And like the great Jim Brown, Riggins was held in awe by his teammates, even on the practice field.
We run plays we call live thud, really getting into people, giving them a good hard chuck. They would not even touch him. It was the most unique thing I've ever seen. They would not even touch John Riggins in practice.
That's the ultimate respect because they knew that guy could load the wagon and pull it himself.
Riggins was the Redskins' leader on the field. He was also their leader off the field and after hours.
The 5 o'clock club basically was the Hogs getting together after practice for a beer or two in a little shack that was out there where they kept the equipment. And it was just offensive linemen. But, as it would be, John Riggins was in the club.
He called himself the El Presidente. He was the president of the 5 o'clock club.
What did Gibbs think about that?
Well, I'm sure it was one of those things that caused him a little bit of consternation.
I said, we got a problem here. I said, the 5 o'clock club. I said, you got to fix this for me. And he goes like this, done. Don't worry about it. Done. I got this covered for you. You know, one of those things. And so he goes walking off, and I went, hey, that was easy, you know. I figured that was going to be a fight. And the bottom line is I think he moved it 100 yards. This is right outside the fence.
Riggins moved the 5 o'clock club, and in 1982, he put the entire team on his back and carried it through the postseason.
Appreciate that I'd never really been in a meaningful playoff game in what would have been 10 years in the NFL. Thinking the Super Bowl is what it's all about. Even though I know it's a business, this has got to be like the promised land if there is one in the NFL. So I'm driving into Redskin Park. I was starting to think of the possibilities to how great this was going to be. I'm telling you, Steve, I'm driving down the road and I'm getting goosebumps. In fact, I'm getting them now telling the story. I mean, the hair was starting to stand up on the back of my neck. So I roll in there, I see Joe Bugle by the water fountain. I say, Bukes, give me the ball. That's all I'm going to say. Just give me the ball, everything's going to be all right. Actually, it was one of those deals where you had a chance to step forward and basically shape your destiny. And I'll always feel like that was my moment.
This was John Wayne. I mean, this was a movie. He's running down the sidelines, and he lowers his shoulder on a DB, and he must have knocked this guy 5 yards back out of bounds. Okay, and you could sense right there that you know, he had something to him that day.
There's certain people that have the ability to be on a stage in sports, and they raise it up a level, and John had the ability to do that.
Gibbs gave Riggins the ball 62 times against Detroit and Minnesota, and he pounded out 304 yards in the 2 victories.
Not everybody has an opportunity to see a Hall of Famer execute at his highest level, and I think that's what we saw in that stretch. He knew that these guys were counting on him, and he relished the fact that they did. This is what he thrived on. This was his stage.
In the NFC Championship game, Riggins carried the ball 36 times and battered the Dallas defense for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns.
For John Riggins, the athlete, maybe for John Riggins, the man, that's my favorite story of all of it. I mean, beating Dallas to go to the Super Bowl, that was a very defining moment, knowing that we were going. When you won the Super Bowl, it was more of a numbing, stunning moment.
There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30. He's gone. Touchdown, Washington Redskins.
picked one play in Redskin history. It's the one play I got on my wall. John signed it for me. I was fortunate enough. At least I think it's his signature. It better be.
It was the signature play for Riggins, who set a Super Bowl record with 38 carries for 166 yards.
You said something earlier I want to get back to about the Super Bowl. You used an interesting word, numbing?
It was emotionally numbing. I was by far the last guy to leave that day. Stands are completely empty. You got all the cups, and you got a few of the workers that are pushing the brooms and cleaning the place out. And I look up, and I see the scoreboard, and it says Redskins 27, Dolphins 17. And in that moment, I went, I'm a world champion.
Coming up, BP, John Riggins was the toast of Washington. And it was during a night of toasting that he met Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor.
So I get there and I have a couple double scotches right off the bat. So, okay, now I'm kind of, and I haven't eaten anything all day. So I sit down and start drinking wine. Well, now they bring me dinner, and by this point, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want nothing to eat. Now, Justice O'Connor had indicated early on that, she was going to have to leave. She couldn't stay for the whole party, and I think that she was getting ready to go. Basically, it was said in the sense as you would somebody that was your house, and you're having fun, and you're assuming they're having fun. You go, hey, Sandy, baby, loosen up, Sandy, baby. It's like, stick around, come on, we'll have some more fun or whatever. Then I got up to go over to talk to her husband, John. All I know, like an 18-wheeler on the interstate, I jackknifed somewhere over behind his chair, and I guess he was sitting with Mrs. John Glenn, and, she couldn't get out of her chair because this 18-wheeler was jackknifed there. So that's the story that I recall.
Because he was different, because he was colorful, he never fit the convention of Washington. And that's difficult because here is the most ridiculously conventional place in America. And people don't like folks who color outside the lines. And Riggins lived outside the lines. And yet, because it was natural and it was truly who he was and it wasn't an act, people loved him.
They also loved Riggins for what he did between the lines. In '83, he set a league record with 24 touchdowns. He was coughing up blood in the NFC title game, but he still scored twice to beat the 49ers. But the toll of 14 seasons finally caught up with Riggins, and he was released in 1986.
After you retired, you lived in a trailer?
Yeah, I was cheapo and kind of like, solitary man, But let's face it, I've had an unusual point of view for a better part of my life.
So what did you do all day? I mean, I
was on the river. I was on Potomac River, which, so I fished. But, I'm kind of one of those guys that I daydream a lot, I just think about stuff.
There was a quote about your life after football, and it said, John Riggins acts like one of the Apollo astronauts who walked on the moon. They've discovered they can't cope with everyday life, and coming back down to earth was unbearably boring.
Fundamentally, that's probably got some truth to it, because the one thing about football, it's fantasy, but there's something very addictive about it, and that is, 50, 60, 75, 80,000 fans giving you this adulation. Once you've experienced that, that's getting right up there. It's almost like pure oxygen or whatever you want to call it. And that's hard to get away from.
When you got in the Ring of Honor for the Redskins, you and Theismann were inducted. And one of the great moments that any fan in Washington will say is when you came out in your uniform. Why did you decide to do that?
Well, I have a showman flair to me, and I knew that would be a great moment, that I would really enjoy it. Like I told Joe out there when I got there, I had to hear it one more time. I've tried to get back in the acting, to recreate that, to have that same amount of success in something else.
Broncos, Rangers.
Riggins capitalized on his football fame by doing TV commercials in Washington. It wasn't until he was out of football that he became a serious actor. In 1992, he made his theatrical debut, and as he took his curtain call, he saw a familiar face.
And here's this very attractive woman in this really beautiful red dress, and she's got these roses. Wait a second. Oh, no, and here it was. It was Sandra Day O'Connor. And then I got a football, and I autographed the football, and she gave me the roses.
Riggins now lives in New York, where he has performed on stage and in daytime TV.
I won't go back.
To jail? Have you been in jail before?
Prison camp in Nam.
I was a POW.
I won't be locked up again.
What movies bring you to tears?
It's always the courage that people show. The willingness to take a chance or the willingness to risk and then to succeed. I'll tell you what, Robert Service, he's the poet that wrote a lot about Alaska, but he also wrote The Law of the Yukon, which I recited from at my induction ceremony. Well, there's that one part in there. He says,
Men with the hearts of Vikings and the simple faith of a child.
men with the hearts of Vikings and the simple faith of a child. That works for me.
John Riggins had a great run, starring as the Redskins' indomitable fullback. But whatever stage he appears on, he is sure to be the leading man.
Absolutely fits John's personality, I think, to be there expressing himself as a character. It'd be great if they let him be John Riggins. I think that's probably the best character he could ever be.
And in closing, I want to leave a little something with you. Remember, the news of my craziness has been greatly exaggerated. What fouls the eye and the perception is that I am the horse of a different color.
I was reading Newsweek magazine, and they have that little thing where it says that, new things that are coming up. And apparently, they've developed this video-equipped tombstone that will display a message from the grave's occupant. If you were to purchase that, what message would you like to see?
I suppose he came to play. And you can take that as broadly or as narrowly as you want. But that's what life is to me. I came to play.
Welcome back.